The man standing in line at Costco is wearing a faded gray t-shirt, New Balance sneakers from 3 years ago, and driving a 2018 Toyota Camry with a small scratch on the bumper. He has $11 million in his brokerage account. The guy behind him is in head-to-toe designer, fresh Jordans, gold chain, latest iPhone in a luxury case. He has $400 until his next paycheck. We have been trained to read wealth from the outside, but the outside is almost always wrong. And today we are going to explain exactly why, not as a moral lesson, but as a financial system. Because the way truly wealthy people think about money and appearance is one of the most practical and replicable things you will ever learn. Let us start with a term that explains almost everything: conspicuous consumption. The economist Thorstein Veblen coined it back in 1899. The idea is simple. People buy visible, expensive things not because they need them, but to signal their social status to others. A Rolex does not tell better time than a Casio. A Ferrari does not get you to the grocery store faster than a Honda, but they signal something. And that signal is the actual product being purchased. For over 100 years, this system worked in a very predictable way. Rich people bought expensive things. Regular people could not. So expensive things became reliable signals of wealth. Then something changed. Credit happened. Not just credit cards, the entire consumer credit infrastructure that made it possible for almost anyone to look wealthy without actually being wealthy. Buy now, pay later. 0% financing for 12 months. Lease a $60,000 car for $500 a month. Put the vacation on the card and figure it out later. By the early 2000s, the signal had become completely unreliable. The person in the luxury car might own it outright, or they might be 2 missed payments away from repossession. You cannot tell from the outside anymore. And here is where the mindset of genuinely wealthy people shifted. If expensive things no longer reliably signal wealth, because anyone with a credit score can access them, then wearing expensive things no longer makes you look rich to people who are actually rich. It makes you look like someone trying to look rich. There is a difference, and the wealthy know it. This is not a new idea. Warren Buffett has lived in the same house in Omaha, Nebraska since 1958. He paid $31,500 for it. Today, it is worth roughly $1.4 million. He could own any house on the planet. He has chosen not to upgrade. Mark Zuckerberg famously wore the same gray t-shirt every day for years, not because he could not afford variety, but because he was applying a concept called decision fatigue reduction. Every trivial decision you make throughout the day costs mental energy. By eliminating clothing decisions entirely, he preserved his cognitive bandwidth for things that actually mattered. Steve Jobs wore the same black turtleneck. Albert Einstein reportedly owned multiple versions of the same suit, so he never had to think about what to wear. These are not coincidences. These are patterns. Now let us talk about what wealthy people actually spend their money on, because they do spend it, just not where you can see it. The first invisible purchase is time. Wealthy people pay enormous amounts of money for time. Private aviation is not primarily about comfort. It is about the 3 hours of productivity recovered from airport security. Personal assistants, household managers, meal delivery services, these are all purchases of time. Time that gets redirected into either more income-producing activity or into genuine rest and relationship. You will never see these purchases. They do not photograph well. They do not generate likes on social media, but they compound in value far beyond any visible luxury item. The second invisible purchase is financial access. As we covered when we talked about banking tiers, above certain asset levels, you gain access to investment opportunities that regular consumers never see. Private equity funds, pre-IPO investments, real estate syndications, these are not available at any store. They are not advertised. You gain access through relationships, through net worth verification, through being inside a financial tier that most people do not know exists. Wealthy people spend money on advisors, attorneys, accountants, and tax strategists. The invisible infrastructure of wealth maintenance. A good tax strategy can save a high-income household tens of thousands of dollars per year legally. That is money that stays and compounds. It is completely invisible to anyone looking from the outside. The third invisible purchase is health. Top-tier preventive health care. Elite fitness training. High-quality food as a genuine investment in longevity. These are not glamorous. No one posts their quarterly blood work results for the algorithm. But for people who understand that their ability to earn depends directly on their physical and mental functioning, health is the highest return investment on the list. Now here is the twist that brings all of this together. The things wealthy people buy invisibly, time, access, health, knowledge, all appreciate in value or generate returns. The things they avoid buying visibly, luxury clothing, status cars, designer accessories, all depreciate. A $50,000 car loses roughly 15 to 20% of its value the moment you drive it off the lot. In 5 years, it is worth less than half what you paid. It generated zero return. It cost you maintenance, insurance, and registration on top. Meanwhile, the same $50,000 invested in a diversified portfolio at historical average returns becomes over $200,000 in 20 years. One purchase made you look wealthy for 5 years. The other actually made you wealthy for life. This is the core financial logic behind invisible wealth. It is not about being cheap. It is not about deprivation. It is about understanding what assets do versus what liabilities cost. But let us be honest about something, because this story has a real psychological dimension. Most people are not buying designer goods to impress billionaires. They are buying them to feel something, to feel successful, to feel ahead, to feel like they made it, or in many cases, to feel like they belong. The research on this is clear. Conspicuous spending spikes among people who feel economically insecure. When people feel financially vulnerable, visible spending on status symbols goes up, not down. It is a signal to the community around you that you are okay, that you are not struggling, that you have arrived, and that is deeply human. There is nothing wrong with the impulse, but the financial cost of that impulse, paid in depreciation, in debt, in opportunity cost, in compounding returns never taken, is one of the most expensive things in the entire personal finance world. The people who figured this out early are the ones quietly building wealth while looking completely ordinary. And here is what you can actually take from this and use. The first shift is separating how you feel from how you spend. If a purchase is about signaling something to other people, pause. Ask who you are signaling to. Ask if those people actually care. Research consistently shows that people overestimate how much others notice what they wear, what they drive, what they carry. The observer effect in social situations is far weaker than we think. Most people are too worried about themselves to notice your watch. The second shift is becoming obsessed with invisible assets, skills, certifications, relationships, investments, health. These do not photograph well. They do not get engagement on social media, but they are the actual infrastructure of a financially stable life. The third shift is understanding the difference between spending and investing. Every dollar you spend is gone. Every dollar you invest has a chance to come back as more dollars. The wealthy do not think about this occasionally. They think about it for almost every financial decision they make. The fourth shift, and this is the one most people miss, is changing your definition of what success looks like. As long as you define success visually, as long as success means having the car, the outfit, the watch, you will always be spending to maintain the image. And maintaining an image is expensive, permanently. The moment you redefine success as freedom, the ability to choose how you spend your time, the absence of financial stress, the ownership of assets that generate income, the spending calculus completely changes. Because freedom does not require a logo. The man in the faded gray t-shirt at Costco is not making a fashion statement. He is making a financial statement. One that says, I do not need you to know what I have. I know what I have. And it is growing. That is the art of being invisibly rich. It is not a secret. It is not a trick. It is a decision made consistently, quietly, and over a very long period of time. The question is not whether you can afford to make it. The question is whether you are willing to.